So about a month ago, I got some really exciting news. Disinherited was accepted to be showcased in South by Southwest Sydney, and after a lot of deliberation, because we do not have the budget for me to take a plane ticket and have lodging down there, we've decided to just take the plunge and go anyway. However, that also means that I had a lot of work to do really quickly. I had to redo the main artwork for the game for banners and stuff, create a logo for my studio, get together a pitch deck in case I'm talking to publishers. I need a trailer, and most importantly, I need a playable demo for the game. Luckily, a lot of this aligns with what I was already trying to do here, since I want you guys to be able to play the demo. So let's talk about the 5 stages that I took to put the finishing touches on this game. I'm Dryden Thomas, and I'm developing Disinherited. It's a side-scrolling roguelike game where you throw, catch, and parry your way through Death's domain to slay the Grim Reaper and claim eternal life, all to spite your father who cut you out of his will. The first big task in getting a demo ready is deciding how much to include. When you bring it to a convention, I'm told you want it to be playable in a pretty short amount of time so as many people as possible can have an experience with the game. That meant that there was no way to include all 3 levels and bosses. I was gonna have to cut it down. Which is also good because it's a lot easier to polish a short experience than a long one. I decided to stick to just the first area, the Catacombs, and the Gravedigger boss, Guillaume Obligé. But I restructured it slightly. Now you go from the hub area with Old Red Eye down into the exploration area and then a shop, just like usual. But then, instead of going right into the boss fight, you get another exploration area and another shop. Then you fight Guillaume. This will give a player a bit more of a chance to collect relics and hopefully have some more fun exploring what the game has to offer. The second stage is balancing. The difficulty curve, I was hearing, was a little bit steep. Once you get it, but the skill floor is pretty high. I made just a couple changes to the demo to counteract this. First, your light won't decrease in the first explore area. This lets you move around more freely and gives you an advantage while you practice the basic platforming and combat, which are already on their own pretty challenging. I also did a bit to decrease the difficulty level overall. Your minimum light size used to be a pinprick, but now it encompasses your player and goes a little further too. This way it's not a total death sentence, but it's still pretty scary. Also, whenever you encounter an item in the explore area, there's a safe zone around it, which stops the Reaper's relentless pursuit and stops your lantern's light from burning down. This wasn't too clear initially, since all that happens is a safe icon appears over in your HUD, which is easily missed. So I added this soft border around the edge of the screen when you're in a safe zone. But I committed another crime here. The safe zone didn't actually make you invulnerable. Initially, it wasn't meant to, but after a playtester commented that they were getting hit in the safe zones, I realized the miscommunication and decided to just add invulnerability there. Some things, though, were way too powerful. This relic, called the Ninox Mask, doubled damage to any enemies outside of your ring of light. That's not a huge issue in the exploration areas, but during the boss fights, which take place in lit rooms, you could easily just let your light burn down all the way, and then all of your thrown objects would deal double damage. This let you obliterate them in literal seconds sometimes, which is fun, but also one single item pickup shouldn't have that much of an impact on your game. The third phase was adding some impactful new features. I added a new ability for Samuel that I've been meaning to include for a while: Gathering. Now you can hold down the interact button and the lantern oil and coins from far away will float to you in a most Sekiro fashion. However, the oil collectibles don't get picked up on contact if you're not gathering. This is important because some builds will want to keep their light low, and you shouldn't be forced to pick up oil by accident if you don't want it. Speaking of relics, I got 3 more implemented. Meet the Cirrus set. I already had the artwork done for 2 of them, and I thought they were ideas that were unique and cool enough that they would add a lot to the experience of the demo. Here we have the Cirrus wings, which I drew on a stream a while ago. These let you hold down the jump button in midair to glide down softly. Then came the Cirrus sandals. Normally, your dodge roll is pretty weighty, and it takes you at a downward diagonal if you do it in midair. But with the Cirrus sandals equipped, you go straight ahead. Last, the Cirrus cuirass. This one's a bit different. Each time you jump, you create a cloud that slows down enemy projectiles and cuts their damage in half. It's just a bit of protection, and it has potential for some interesting scaling later on, especially since it triggers on air jumps. The next stage is to add more feedback to the player, colloquially sometimes called juice. I didn't like the old dust that spawns on footsteps very much, to be honest. It's coarse and rough and gets everywhere. Wait, hold on, I think I'm thinking of something else. I thought something a little bit cleaner would look nice, so I did some of these little guys. Implementation of this was not as smooth and painless as I had hoped, but by the end, I think it looks a lot better. Whenever you land or hit a wall, a little two-sided puff comes out. And speaking of footsteps, I spent a lot of time focusing on the area that needed the most improvement. Sound. Sounds have been kind of a sore spot in the game for a while. It's just hard to focus on that when there's mechanics to add or bugs to fix, but the problem is that everything makes a sound, so the more stuff you add, the more behind you get on sound. The big one that was missing was the boss himself, Guillaume. So I got to work creating some impacts, gathered some clinks and clanks for the shovel, and sampled some earthquakes for when he knocks bones loose. The vocals for now are just my voice pitched down a little bit. The next priority was Samuel. He has some footsteps and he has some temp vocals in there, but not really anything else. For the sound effect of swinging his cane, I used some XLR mic cables to get that little whoosh. For his jump, I put on some shoes that I thought would be a little bit like his and did some actual jumping, which is more cardio than I got all summer. And for the dodge roll, I got a few jackets and kind of mushed them around next to the mic. He also needed a death sound other than just his vocals. That way the player immediately knows that they've messed up and it's over. I really prefer to design sounds myself, but I found this horror pack on Splice, and this bowed screech felt perfect. When the sound starts, it stops every other sound in the game except for Samuel's final cry. Then the next priority was the Reaper. This didn't need too much work, but I thought that there should be a little bit of a sound effect when he's winding up to slash you. In that same horror pack, there was this bowed cymbal that just sounds so horrifying. It's eerie, it's supernatural, it's alarming. I added some atmosphere to the catacombs as well. It's meant to be a mix of abstract sounds with some whispered Latin chanting, some creepy crawlies, some crumbly rumblies, and some growly rowlies stuff. In the end, there are still some sounds missing, but that's because there's another massive looming problem. Where's the story? If you've been watching the devlogs this far, you know that the story is about Samuel, who is disinherited by his rich banking mogul father and goes on a quest to the catacombs to claim eternal life and blah 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 blah. But that's not in the game really at all. So now I would like to introduce the introduction. After many hours of drawing and almost as many hours in Unity messing around with this new to me tool called the timeline and creating many animations and scripts and a new piece of music and a bunch of new sound effects, I now have an introductory cutscene. So let's watch it together.
My eternal life shall render this will and testament as useless as you are. Samuel, you have made nothing of your life, and so I leave to you of my fortune nothing.
You're wrong, Father. You may have failed your quest, but I will achieve what you could not. No matter what it costs. I will make everything of my life. And I will prove you wrong.
Now this is not its final form, but I think it's enough to give a newcomer a taste of the narrative framing at play here. So that's all the work I had time for. As we speak, there's a build available on itch.io. As this is a pretty short development time for a pretty large project, you should expect to see some little rough edges in there. Missing sounds, little bugs, little moments of weird. So please be kind, but I do want to hear about all the things that you're noticing and what would make your experience better. And also, importantly, what you love about it and wouldn't change. The official Discord is a great place to talk about that, and it's linked in the description. Based on your feedback, I can update the demo a few times and have it really sparkling for the showcase. And I just want to give a little shout out to my amazing playtest crew who have given me so much good feedback and helped me catch a lot of the big bugs before they get to you. And I want to give a very special shout out to LNS Let's Plays, who's been cranking the difficulty on the assist mode to its highest possible state and trying to run the game that way, and is getting frighteningly close to beating the demo with those settings. Alright. So you've been very patient, so here is the secret. I felt like it was unfair to have shown you all these bosses that I've been working on for the last 100 days and get you all excited and then not let you play against them. But at the same time, I don't feel like they're officially done. So as a compromise, if you go down to the bottom left corner here and click this almost invisible button, you'll get put into the testing zone. That's a different level sequence that lets you see the upcoming stuff. Now mechanically, it's getting pretty close. It's almost all there. There's just a couple things that I'm not quite happy with yet, so I don't want it to be included in like an official release. So yeah, thank you everyone so much for your support in the last 120-ish days. It has really meant the world to me. It's been life-changing, and I really feel like we're at the start of something big here. Special thank you to our channel members who are helping fund this journey, with an extra special thank you to our 4 Reaper Council level members, AjHavok, Brian, Emil Skov, and IronicYouAsk. Thank you so much for watching and for all your kind words, and I really hope you enjoy the demo. See you in the next one!